All right, we are back after a pretty significant holiday break.
Pretty significant? What are you talking about? We were just recording last week.
Yeah, it's been a while. We've had some holidays.
Several holidays, in fact.
The big holiday, mainly.
Yes, a very big holiday, mainly. That holiday being, of
That
course.
holiday.
Being, of course, the Epiphany.
Being capitalism, the holiday.
Yes, capitalism, the holiday. Very depressing.
Of course, we're talking about Christmas. Christmas is a big season for every industry, but video game is pretty big on Christmas. They like their winter season Christmas markets.
Indeed, they do. So, do you want to go first, or should I? Because I feel like, judging by your desk, you've got a bit of a story to tell.
We'll probably, because that'll be a nice way to move into the next socket. So I'll let you go first, and then we'll kind of work our way there.
Alrighty then. Well, my Christmas, I actually went up to visit relatives for Christmas, which was enjoyable. We did the gift exchange. We did all that. I took somewhat of an advantage of the video game sales. Bought Dragon Age Inquisition. Haven't touched that yet. I still hate BioWare for pulling me back into that franchise. Because I was done. I was literally done after Dragon Age 2.
Like, did you play the game and just say, no more, like, this is terrible? Or were you just like, you know what? I'm fine with this is ending. Like, how?
No, I played the game, and I was like, fuck this story.
So you decided, no more, I don't want this.
No more, I don't want this. BioWare,
you were fed up with their shit.
BioWare, I am done with you. And I threw the game on the ground. But then I start seeing reviews of Dragon Age Inquisition. And I start hearing people I respect saying, this isn't a half-bad game. And I look at it, it's like, you can't fool me. I know you. But then I do the terrible mistake of looking at the companions. Now, there is a companion in that game, Vivienne, who... Okay, I'm not sure. Do you follow Dragon Age at all?
I do not follow Dragon Age that much.
Okay, now...
It was not a series I got into, and with the fiasco that was Dragon Age 2, I did not feel like jumping in.
Well, you see, the fiasco was just because BioWare's fans are a bunch of whiny babies. Partially. Because the mechanics were different. The two-handed swords were actually what they should be. They were light, and they were swinging fast, and just the combat was different. And BioWare fans are big whiny babies.
Well, from what I understand, they weren't big whiny babies about the combat as much as they were about the game being a bit too gay.
That's not even... Well, that's, again...
That from what I've read, and I read a lot of stuff, it was a big deal on the story taking a bit too much focus, the gameplay taking a bit of a back seat.
Well, the gameplay is actually much improved in Dragon Age 2, and they took a backstep in Inquisition with that, actually.
Yeah, and there was, because, they brought the game in focus, and a lot of people were, of course, unhappy with the way the story was.
Well, you see...
I heard the term glorified fanfic being thrown around a lot.
Well, you see, like I said last time, the problem with Dragon Age 2's story was that it was a much smaller scale.
Yeah, and we
talk about that. But the point is,
that's a plug for our old podcast. Watch them
or listen to them if possible. Put them on your.
There's not really much to watch.
Yeah, put them on your audio thingies.
Audio thingies.
Well, I don't make iPods anymore, so I don't know what the kids these days listen to.
Kids these days.
I'm 25 years old. I'm old. I am past my prime with reflexes.
I think people still use iPads or at least iPhones, so it's still enough. If not, they're just putting it on their phones anyways. That's what I have seen in the most part. I don't know. I went and imported a Korean, I believe, music player just because I was very upset with iPod's inability to play FLAC.
Mm. Well, anyway.
That's a topic for some other day.
Yeah, anyway, back on topic. Okay, so the problem with BioWare is that I discussed this with a friend of mine the other day. He called it the poor, pitiful mage problem. in every single BioWare story except KOTOR and Jade Empire. The mages, or whatever their equivalent is, are to be pitied, and the story bends over backwards to make you feel sorry for them.
Alright.
The biotics in Mass Effect 2 weren't too bad, or in Mass Effect they weren't too bad, but there were still a couple missions where like, oh, those poor oppressed people. And in Dragon Age it's got it really bad. Now, I'm gonna put some opinions out here.
Alright.
I'm one of those people
We're opening the doors for opinions, everyone. Don't get too mad.
I'm one of those people who thinks that Senator Kelly from the X-Men movies was right.
Alright, so you are against the superpowered human...
I don't mind having superpowers, but you better be fucking carded. I mean, we card people for guns, and why shouldn't we card people who can blow up entire city blocks with their farts?
Seems like so when people learn about Marvel's Civil War, whenever that movie comes out, you will be siding with Iron Man.
Well, I don't even know how they're going to do that, to be honest.
Yeah, that's, like, I saw that, it was like, are they actually going to follow the Civil War story?
I hope not, because the Civil War story was fucking terrible.
All I know was...
But yes, actually, I would kind of side with the... Well, actually, not in the Marvelverse. I would side with Captain America in Marvelverse. If it was DCverse, I would side with... It's complicated. Let's go into that later.
Yeah, the only thing I care about in the Marvel Universe is what's Spider-Man up to, and the answer is always...
Shit. But yeah, so Vivian is a mage, but she's pro-establishment, pro-Templar, hey guys, mages are kind of dangerous, let's keep them locked up. So she basically shares every opinion I do. And every problem I had with the Dragon Age 2 story, she also shared. So it's like, well, fuck. And she's not romanceable. That's the worst part of it.
Ooh.
The one time BioWare decides to not make every companion romanceable.
Even BioWare thinks your waifu is shit.
Every time I remember that, I shake my fist towards BioWare, Austin. And I feel like I'm one of those girls from Cops. You know, don't take him away. I still love him. That's my relationship with BioWare.
Alright, I can understand that.
And let's see. I actually did get some games on Steam. I got this game called Mountain Blade Warband.
Yes, so for those of you who don't know, of course, with the winter season comes the Steam sale, the winter Steam sale. I'm guessing we both participated in...
I only bought 2 games. You should be very proud of me.
Oh, his wallet is safe, everyone.
Don't ask how much DLC for Payday 2 I got. Anyway.
But yes, your 2 games, you said Mountain Blade?
Yes, Mountain Blade Warband. I was actually watching a friend stream that one night.
Yeah, I thought about getting that one, but I had already spent a bunch of money on something else.
We'll talk about that in a minute now, won't we?
Yeah, we'll get to this. It won't be a secret that long.
But... So, Mountain Blade, for those of you who don't know, is a kind of medieval, low kind of RPG where you're a mercenary captain or whatever, and you can ride out into this fictional, not Europe, and side with either the not Mongols or the not Polish or whatever.
Yeah.
Not sultans or whatever.
All the fake...
All the Gennaro fake, not European countries.
Yeah.
So, I got it, and I turn it on, and it's, it's around noon time. I start playing it, and I look up 3 minutes later and wonder why it got so dark. And I look at my clock, and it's 5 a.m.
So you lost yourself in this game, is what I'm hearing.
I lost myself in this game. I have not done that since Civilization 4 came out.
Alright.
Mountain Blade...
That's about, the best recommendation you can really give a game, is that I picked it up, and I lost track of time.
Yes, it scratched an itch I forgot I even had. And that was being able to be just this ruler. And the thing about the game is, it's not very graphically intense. It's not
Yeah, because this was a game I thought about getting. I saw it has, like, I almost want to say, like, last gen, sort of. A little more in between, but...
Early, maybe...
Not exactly next gen specs.
No, it's...
Kind of prior gen, in-betweenish specs.
Yeah.
Early PS3, maybe.
I would say even maybe late PS2, like
yeah,
Persona 4.
It's somewhere in that range.
Yeah. But the thing is, despite that, it runs well for lower powered PCs, which I happen to own. And there is a huge active modding community on it, is the thing.
Which is always a great thing.
Okay, now, there are 2 mods I really want for I haven't seen yet. I either want a Three Kingdoms mod, Romance of Three Kingdoms, or Feudal Japan.
Alright, so he wants the Asian mods.
I want the Asian mods, but there is a Game of Thrones mod. There is literally a Star Wars mod.
That's some nice mods.
There is Roman Empire. There's all sorts of fun mods for that.
Yeah, and that's one of the best things about... That's like when I had the choice of my next gen console, I looked at the PS4 and I looked at the Xbox One, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to get a PC because mods look great.
And then you got a Wii U anyway.
And then I got a Wii U anyways because I can't be without my Legend of Zelda.
Or your Bayo.
Or my Bayo. There are quite a few good games for the Wii U.
But yeah, the other game I got was Death Skid Marks. We talked about that. Yeah, that was basically my holiday. I'm a very boring person. God help me. I have no friends. So what did you do, Mike?
Yeah, so for me, as far as Christmas, you know, I hung out with family, did all that stuff, all the gifts giving, all the Secret Santas with friends, all that good stuff. But no one really cares about that right now because we're talking about video games.
Yes, we are.
And let's get into, I guess the first place I'll start is some of the stuff I picked up on Steam sale. I saw Metal Gear Rising Revengeance. I picked up that.
I still need to get that.
Yeah, so I've been playing a little Bayo. I like it, and so I was like, you know what?
Oh, okay. Sorry, I thought you meant you were playing Revengeance and you said Bayo. It's like, I know they're the same publisher, but...
Yeah, I was playing some, because I was on the fence about Revengeance. You know, I wasn't sure if I would really enjoy the Platinum-style games when applied to a Metal Gear setting, because I really like Metal Gear, and I really like Platinum, but sometimes mashups shouldn't happen. But I grabbed it, I haven't played it yet, but hopefully it'll be good.
How can you say no to rules of nature?
Yeah. But I'm trying to remember. I grabbed some other games. I grabbed Rogue Legacy. I actually played through that one. I beat that one in like 2 nights. That was when I just grounded through. It was a ton of fun. So just like you got lost in Warband, I spent like a couple days off work that I had. I was like, you know what? Let's play Rogue Legacy. See if this is any good. And it was apparently really good because... Next time I looked up, it was time for me to go back into work.
Apparently.
So, that was a fun game. For those of you who don't know about Rogue Legacy, it's this sort of...
Roguelike?
Yeah, it's a roguelike. It's a platformy, not really hack and slash.
It's a roguelike dungeon crawler in which the main gimmick is...
Yes, so the main gimmick is when you...
die, you take place...
You die, it's not you respawning, it's your heir that respawns, and you can select from... like, it's 3, and then there's later upgrade where you can get 6.
Yeah.
1 heir, and that's the heir you get to play again, and all the gold that you collect as that heir, you don't get a chance to spend it until you die, and then your next heir has to spend it all, because once he jumps back into the dungeon, he has to spend all his money to do that.
Yeah.
So it's a cool little game. You know, tight combat, tight controls.
I played some of it.
Yeah, apparently you played some of it, and I really enjoyed it. So
I didn't quite enjoy it probably as much as you did because I'm not a big fan of roguelikes.
Yeah, I think you've said that before here.
Yeah, I have, so...
You know, I like a certain type of roguelike. I don't like a roguelike where no matter what, there's always just like a 90% chance that your run is dead before you walk in. I prefer a roguelike where there's a higher ceiling for success. And especially like roguelikes where you can manage yourself so that you can increase that chance of success to a point where it's not really just, alright, I'll roll the dice, I guess this runs over before turn 1 ever starts.
Well, you see, I think the polar opposite of a roguelike would be a Metroidvania. Because with a Metroidvania, you have a very clear you have a very clear objective, you have a very clear way of measuring that objective. You have your 100% completion, your 110% completion, you have your map completely filled out. I think that style of gameplay is like the exact opposite of a roguelike. Yeah,
well, I definitely am a big fan of the Metroids and the Castle Metroidvanias.
Castle
Metroidvanias.
Simon's Metroid.
Simon's Metroid. Now with the baby. But as far as roguelikes, I definitely do like roguelikes. I definitely do like there being always just like a looming hard danger that I could just walk into something. But I also like the ability to be able to react in a way that says, oh, I shouldn't do this, I should walk away, I should be smart enough, and a chance of success is always there. Whereas some games, like I remember Risk of Rain,
oh god,
I'll play like the first 5 minutes, and before the end of the level, I already know whether or not I should just jump off a cliff and die.
There are no cliffs in Risk of Rain. A friend of mine got that for me.
Yeah, it's one of those games where if you don't get good pickups on the first level, you're screwed.
That's actually kind of why I like Death Skid Marks. It is a roguelike, but it's a very rude one. And you have more control over what you like, because you can shoot and aim, and you feel like you have more tactical control, I guess.
I also definitely like roguelikes where if you are just really good at the game, you are not going to die.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
That sort of Rogue Legacy kind of follows into that category. If you know how to dodge all the enemies and move around, and you're really good at jumping and swinging your sword, you're not going to die. It'll take a lot longer to kill things because you do less damage.
But you're not going to die. Fair enough.
So,
pick anything else up on the Steam sale?
Not on the Steam sale.
But you did... I've been waiting for this.
This has been eager. So, I'm just going to start this off with a number, and that's $440, and that's how much I blew into a very specific set of figurines. Of course, I'm talking about the Amiibo from Nintendo.
What? What is this Amiibo?
So, Nintendo announced, when they announced Super Smash Bros., that they were going to make a line of essentially Skylanders ripoffs, sort of in a way.
Which is fair, because Skylanders was going to be their product, but they said, nah. Nintendo really has a bad habit of that. Remember the PlayStation?
Yeah, well, that's something that sort of happens a lot in video games and all sorts of...
Yes, but it's never quite been as... what's the word? Bad as that.
But yeah, so Amiibos, basically, they're these little figures, and they are basically physical DLC for all intents and purposes. When you're playing your games, there's a little stand on your Wii U controller, you put it on them, and they do things. So, for instance, for the game they were announced, Super Smash Bros., you can put them onto your Wii, and they will add a character into the game as a CPU-controlled character, and you can fight them, or you can ally with them, or you can do all sorts of cool things, and you can train them up to be as good as you are, or better, in my case. And they're actually pretty good. For the price range they are, which is about $13, they're pretty well-made figures. I've heard a lot of people complaining about the faces on some of them.
I'm actually more upset about the stands because look at Link, please. Okay, for those of you who are listening to this, just Google the Link amiibo. It looks like Link is a dog and he's lifting his leg.
Yeah, they chose a yellow part where it may not have been.
They chose a poor color, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, especially when if you see Captain Falcon right over there, he has the clear one, so...
He looks like he's a kickstand.
But they are pretty cool. The big problem, though, and why I throw out that number in the beginning, 440, is not because, this is how much they cost to buy them all. Because these are sort of a collector's kind of item, but we didn't know how collector's item they were going to be.
They are incredibly rare.
Some of them have disappeared from the market, and they only launched, November? Late November, I believe?
Late November, I believe.
Yeah. And so it's like early January now. It's been about 2 months.
2-3 months.
And a lot of the figures have disappeared, but we didn't really have any heads up from Nintendo that perhaps these were going to be scarce. And we're getting a lot now discontinued.
Possibly.
And then the big thing here is, I knew when these were coming out that I was going to collect them all. But the way I had it planned out, I was going to slowly collect them over time.
Look at me, I'm laughing at you.
I think they can hear that. But yeah, so I maybe, every time I get a paycheck or so, grab one or two, slowly collect them, because it's fun to collect things like that.
Turns out.
Instead, I've had to have this mad rush of driving around and shopping online and doing everything in my power to get my hands on these figures.
And you still don't have them all.
I do have them all. Some of them are currently on transit from other countries.
I was going to say, I do not see Little Mac up here. Good.
Yeah, so Little Mac, I ordered him... I actually forget where I ordered him, but I know the three big ones, they're so-called the Holy Trinity online. Marth, Wii Fit, Trainer, and Villager. I imported them from Germany, I believe. Germany, Denmark, that area. There's a couple others. I think I pre-ordered Rosalina and Lucario from Italy.
So aren't you being the international shopper?
Yeah, I was sort of forced to, because a lot of these amiibos just don't exist in stores right now. And that's a lot... To me, it really upsets me in a way where I didn't want to throw all my money right at the...
beginning?
Yeah, and Nintendo has been very closed-lipped about...
whether or not they're actually going to make any more?
Yeah, to the point where they've sort of hinted that, hey guys, they're going to be discontinued, and maybe we'll make card forms for some of them. But it's all, they've really played up the fact these have a very small print run to create scarcity, to basically sell out of as many of these as they can. Which... It definitely doesn't sit right with me. I feel bad for, if there's someone who doesn't have that big number I threw out, $440. If they only had maybe, $20 or something like that to spend on amiibos, there's a good chance that some figures they may have wanted, they will never have. Especially since now you go on eBay and some of these figures are going for triple digits. Especially, I think I've seen the highest on Marth that went for almost $200.
Are they going to make the Lucina?
Lucina has not been announced yet. And that's the other thing. Only a little under half of the total figures have been announced, at least the ones we know of for Smash Brothers. I'm sure they have plans to make more of these for other games, but they just haven't gotten around to it.
I don't know why Nintendo's being so close-lipped, because...
Well, that's the other thing, it feels really disingenuous that Nintendo's being so close-lipped about this.
Well, maybe they didn't think maybe this was supposed to be some sort of experiment.
Well, the way I see it is they could very easily, just say, oh, don't worry, guys. We'll make some more. Like, we hear you. We see how this is bad. And all of a sudden, scalping would be gone. People would not be buying them just to sell on eBay. It would give a fair chance for the regular guy to know, oh, I can just wait on this, or...
Well, Nintendo is a very traditional Japanese company. You have to remember. They're like the traditional Japanese company.
Oh yeah, they've been around for over a century.
So they're not going to do that. Their customer support, their interacting with consumers is more...
Well, a lot of their issue with interacting with consumers is in part because they are a Japanese company and they don't speak English too good.
Well, even in their own country, they're very taciturn. They're a traditional Japanese company. You wear the suit to work, you got the lunch bell, you got all that stuff.
Well, even still, when you're an international company and you're working in other countries, you do have to adapt to those countries.
Well, I'm just saying there's a difference between a company like Nintendo, which is very old school, and something like...
And either way, you can
Valve.
be as old school as you want. If you're not supporting your markets, I can very easily see, because, these things seal up, people just say, you know what, I'm not dealing with this anymore, and not buying them, or... the next time they come out, they all sell out the scalpers and nobody can buy them anymore. And it creates a very destructive cycle where, like, if this were something to keep happening, I would definitely not jump in on the next couple releases of Amiibos. And that's not something it should be. They shouldn't be turning away customers,
Well, it's like I said, maybe this was supposed to be an experiment that went out of control, like the experiments in all the horror movies.
Yeah, I definitely don't see this as a business experience. Like, the best I could see is that, they didn't understand the demand for this, and they sold out too fast, in which case, all they would really have to do is say, like, oh, hey guys, sorry we sold out too fast, don't worry, we'll be making more. And they've been tight-lipped about the Amiibos. They've also been tight-lipped about the
games,
GameCube adapters.
No, they're gone. They're not making any more of those.
No, have
they
officially announced that?
I think they have. They're done with those.
Because from what I've heard, that it sounds like they were making more.
Not here. Not here is the thing. Not anywhere where you will be able to get it for less than triple digits. You're gonna have to import it somewhere. There's not bringing them to North America. At least that's what I've heard. So
yeah, because I haven't heard any official news. Like, I've heard speculations, but nothing hard and fast from Nintendo saying, "Hey, we're done." Until I hear that, like, I'm not gonna.
They're not gonna announce it, though. Is the thing. They're not gonna say anything.
Well, like, if 5 years from now nothing came out, then yes, we can understand. But this soon up, I definitely feel like a second print run is very probable, especially with the demand.
I think you're being a bit too optimistic there. Speaking of being optimistic,
I
actually have a really good segue into this. How optimistic are you for the Ghost in the Shell live action?
Not optimistic.
Have you heard who they're getting to play the Major?
I have heard who they've gotten to play Scarlett Johansson. Yeah. I wasn't all that happy about that pick. I understand 100% why they did it. Ghost in the Shell is a series true to me, and I don't think...
Maybe we should back up a bit. Let's back up a bit. So they've announced that Scarlett Johansson will be playing the Major in the Ghost in the Shell live-action movie if it gets greenlit. They still don't know if it's going to get greenlit yet.
Yeah, so I think she signed a contract to say, I'll play it if everything else starts to fall into place.
Yes. And you see...
Sort of the same way there were talks in the past about Neo playing... I can't remember his name.
What's his name?
Keanu Reeves.
Keanu Reeves playing...
Spike Siegel in Cowboy Bebop movie.
Or, what's his face in the Akira movie?
I don't remember. I remember that, but the same thing. Like they've announced anime-related movies before, and they have a really bad track record of coming through.
Well, here's the thing, though. This one's got a slightly better chance because you know who's behind championing it?
No.
Spielberg.
Ah, yes. That does
increase the odds.
Because from what I've heard and from all the publicity I'm getting, it sounds a lot more real this time. Especially how they made a big fuss about Scarlett Johansson maybe getting the part, and a big announcement that yes, we've had talks.
Scarlett Johansson, and I'm of very mixed mind about this because, okay, I've read the source material. It's a lot closer to the standalone Complex show than the movie because the original animated movie, what's the word I'm looking for? Sucked, in my opinion. It was the Blade Runner of animated movies. Pretty to look at. Fucking confusing to follow. You need to watch it 4 or 5 times and need a book to understand.
Maybe if you're dumb. I'm going to say it. I watched that movie. I wasn't confused. The second movie, yes. The second movie, they spend the whole movie quoting other philosophers. And if you don't know who they are, shit out of luck, yo. But the first movie, fairly simple to follow as long as you have a basic understanding that maybe one day humans will be robots.
Well, the thing is, I find it to be like the Blade Runner of animated movies in that it's really pretty to look at, tells a fucking convoluted story that's almost impossible to follow.
I, again, disagree. I actually liked Blade Runner.
We have had this discussion before, I believe.
Yes, so I am the exact opposite. I love these movies. I love how smart they are.
Yes, but the thing is, they can be smart, but it's the source material, the Major was a bit more friendly, I'm guessing the word is, because she would actually tease other people. Did she tease anybody in the original anime movie? Was she...
She was a lot more subtle about it.
She was not very subtle in the manga.
Yeah, because I've read the manga too, and a lot of that has to do with which translation you're reading as well.
Well, I mean, there's really...
but she is a fair more...
I mean, there's hardly...
human, I'll say.
Yeah.
Whereas...
getting deep now.
Yes, but that was sort of more to the point, because in the movies... the whole thing was the Major trying to understand whether or not she was even human and what does being human mean. And it was a big discussion on who that is. And at the end of the movie, she transcends
Spoilers alert,
human.
by the way.
If they haven't watched this by now, goddamn, what's wrong with you?
Well, to be
fair,
go
watch it.
To be
Get
fair,
out. Get out.
To be fair, I didn't watch it till a couple years ago myself.
Well, I've just given everyone to get out and watch it. No joke.
Wait 10 seconds, okay? Just wait.
They have paused the video by now.
5.
Anyways,
4,
I'm getting into
3,
it. At
2,
the end of The Ghost in the Shell, the movie, she and an AI merge consciousnesses to make something that was beyond human and beyond AI, beyond machine and code, and something that was alive without being alive in the first place. And the whole idea was trying to find out, how do you classify something like that, and what does that mean? What does that mean for us being humans? Are we no better than lines of code, or are lines of code
better than us?
Important enough to be human? And that was the discussion that was going on top of, we gotta shoot tanks.
Well, you see, I appreciate those discussions, but I also kind of wanted the character from the manga who would stick her tongue out and be kind of just a bit of an ass to other people.
Yeah, well, I get that, and I can definitely appreciate that, especially because I'm also a fan of the standalone complex, where the Major was given a lot more characterization because they are longer. Sorry about that Solid Snake moment. But
he's currently under a box right now, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, we actually are podcasting
live from
Alaska,
live from Shadow Moses Island.
Shadow Moses Island. But yes, so as far as Scarlett Johansson...
Well, I actually not done yet. I had more reasons.
Please, go ahead.
Okay, so we were just talking about how smart the anime is and the movie, and I do appreciate how smart it is. But let's remember, this is going to be an American science fiction production. Name the last American science fiction production that was actually kind of intelligent.
Yeah, that's another thing. Name the last American production that sold more than $10 and didn't have a 2 in it.
Well, okay.
I know one, it had a 3.
Well, how about one that had a 9 in it? Well, that wasn't American totally either, but...
Yeah.
District 9 is what I was talking about, but... That was
okay.
That was pretty good. That was as intelligent as it was gonna...
it was smart. I just don't think it was shot that well.
I actually really liked it, but...
Because I like how smart it was. I think as a movie and as some of the technical parts of it weren't as appealing to me.
I actually really liked it because I'm a fan of that found footage style.
Yeah, like, I was not a big fan of... Because it felt like a high production found footage-ish, and it didn't blend well to me. And
I actually felt that was the best blending since...
Yeah, to me it just felt like I was watching a cheap movie the whole time, and it was very hard for me to shake that. To be like, oh, okay,
well,
this is the thing I'm watching.
The point is, any intelligence the Ghost in the Shell movie is going to have is going to get drained out. Because they got the guy who directed Snow White and the Huntsman doing it.
Yeah, because that's part of the reason why I look at them picking Scarlett Johansson. I'm just kind of like, all right, I know why you guys did this. I hate it.
Yeah.
Because, you see some of her other roles. She did Black Widow. She did Lucy. Lucy was apparently the role that solidified her.
And that role, I guess.
Yeah, that's what all the things I've read about it seem to be implying. And to me, she definitely does not feel like the major. I know she can play the sexiest person in the room. I know she can play the sassy spy. I don't think she can play the smartest person in the room.
Well, the Major wasn't the smartest person in the room either, but I get what you're saying.
Maybe not the smartest, the wisest, maybe. The
one who would ask the question.
Yeah, the one who actually was doing a lot of the thinking.
The philosophers.
Yes.
Philosophers are But there is another aspect of this that's going to get completely neutered. Okay, now, we can pretend it's a smart, intelligent anime all we want. But let's not forget the Major was running around naked half of the movie.
Well, to be fair, she had a reason for that.
And
of course,
And the standalone complex completely neutered the reason.
Yeah.
She was naked half the movie. Let's not kid ourselves.
And to be fair, a lot of that has to do with it coming from Japan and it being of a Japan influence. But they did a pretty good job writing it off in a way where I was like, oh, you know what? That actually makes a whole lot of sense.
Yes, but there's still implications. Like, okay, I'm not sure if you remember this, and spoilers for those who haven't read the manga yet. She's also a porn star.
Yes, she engages a lot in sexuality.
Yes, she is literally a porn star who... She films her porn, and she uploads, like, her first-person view of it to the internet and sells it. Which, actually is an amazing idea. But there was...
The future.
There is an extended scene in the manga that is just a threesome. And according to the writer-artist commentary, he got tired of drawing nipples. He actually literally got tired of drawing nipples, so they switched to Barbie doll anatomy for that scene. They're going to cut a hell of a lot of that sexuality out of the American movie.
Yeah, and that's another thing, because I believe Scarlett, has a no nudity rule.
Oh, does she?
Yeah, which, is fine. That's all fine.
Yeah, she's more than obligated to do that, but...
And they could definitely do a...
nipple double?
Ghost in the Shell without nudity.
But it's going to be a neutered PG-13 sci-fi.
Yeah, but it definitely...
thing.
This is definitely a series that wants to be R.
Yes, this is a series that deserves to be R. This is like Akira that if you
not so much for the violence, not so much for the sexuality, but for the, I want to say, almost more raw nature of what they need to show. Because, we talked earlier, the Major was, did part-time porn starring. That they need to be able to talk about sexuality, and they need to be able to talk about guns in people's faces.
And let's be fair, some of the imagery is really graphic. It's people's faces coming off. It's people's faces opening up and being like all robot and shit. Yeah. And like their arms turning into
I remember cannons. One of my favorite scenes in the original movie is this great scene where the Major is ripping open the lid of a tank, and you could see her arm
literally tearing out of their sockets.
Tearing out, and it's a wonderfully animated scene.
It's graphic as all hell.
But it's very wonderful, and it just shows like all the power and the force and the muscle. And it also shows just how toned that Major is, which is another. As far as Scarlett Johansson, I'm fine saying she's pretty. I don't think she's as toned as the Major, though. She's gonna have to bulk up for that role.
And let's just not neglect the elephant in the room.
They're gonna turn somebody black?
No, she's as white as the driven snow.
That's kind of the joke I was getting at.
Oh.
These characters were originally Asian.
No!
So it does feel weird that, they've cast a white main lead. And I'm sure, one of these characters is going to get the token black treatment.
Oh god, it's going to be Bato, isn't it?
It's probably going to be Bato. Which, I don't mind there being black characters in a movie.
It's Asian! Make him Asian!
But they're Asian, they should have been Asian from the get-go. Or at least they should be agreeing to at least try to make them look Asian.
That would be
because it's
worse.
Going to be really weird, because I can see the opening scene where Scarlett Johansson, in a very American accent, just like, I'm Major Kusanagi. I'm part 1/3 Japanese. Had the Japanese father. Yeah.
Well,
anime. And
to be fair, that is actually an anime trope. So.
Well, that trope's normally in the inverse of, hey, that character has blonde hair. She's half Japanese. And somehow all Americans have blonde hair. Anime. Don't ask.
This character was raised in Germany. That's why she has a perfect Japanese accent. Yeah, you're gonna buy that, right? No?
It's always... the thing I always find the funniest is when they have the so-called the half character, and they have the scene of them speaking English, and it's, how you very much, good day, and you're just like, oh my god. You couldn't, just find, an English-speaking person?
Yuri Lowenthal would do it for you. Help. He likes to eat food.
And it's so, jarring every time I hear him. No. I'm sure no one in Japan cares, but no.
Well, point is... And I don't want to trash the movie right now. It's just, I don't have high hopes.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those things where, because like I said, the reason that I don't think Scarlett Johansson's the right pick for that character is looking at the role she's played. She's always played the sexiest woman in the room. She's always played the character who wants the fan service, not for good reasons, I'll say. I'm not sure if she can play a character where a script such as Ghost in the Shell is to her favor.
And that's perfectly fair.
Yeah. Why don't they just make a Gundam movie, goddammit?
Because...
Make G Gundam.
Because
where
I
you
hate
can be
Gundam.
as racist as fuck, and it's okay, because now it's American.
Because I hate Gundam movies. Because I hate Gundam in general.
How do you hate Gundam?
Because I don't want
to... It's giant fucking robots.
Because the square cube law.
What?
Okay, basically, when you scale something up, you have to scale the mass up.
Yes. physics.
Yes,
that's
physics.
right. That physics thing that stops us from having fun.
That physics thing that actually stops us from having Gundams and all that good stuff. The only reason I really like Gurren Lagann is they looked at that and they said, you know what? Fuck it, let's have it anyway. It goes beyond that just to say, you know what? We know this is fake, so by God, we're going to make it as fake as possible.
You could just have it in space the whole time. Like, gravity doesn't cause things to fall in outer space.
Well, I understand, and I'm trying to get more into the giant robots.
Like, mecha... The physics of mecha obviously doesn't work. At least doesn't work to an understanding we have. But once you assume, hey, it's the far future, and God knows what crazy magic science is under the hood, giant robots. Dig it.
Well, I guess. In other news, some interesting news. Okay, Bill Farmer has announced that Kingdom Hearts 3 is going to come out.
Yes, so we've been hearing a lot of rumors about Kingdom Hearts 3 coming out. We didn't have a date, now we do, this year. I'm not a big fan of Kingdom Hearts, actually. I didn't.
Now, for those of you who don't know, Bill Farmer is the voice actor of Goofy.
Yes.
So there's some interesting credence behind that. Now, I actually really enjoyed the first Kingdom Hearts. I thought it was a fun...
Well, yeah, I played the first Kingdom Hearts, and I thought that was okay. And then it's all the other ones where I'm just kind of like, eh.
I actually had a lot of fun with the first Kingdom Hearts. But I was reading something... two things that drove me off. One, the fact that it was on every fucking console, and if you didn't own it all, fuck you, you're not going to follow the story.
Yeah, it definitely...
It was on the goddamn GBA. Do you remember that?
I do. They had every handheld from the Vita to the 3DS to the Game Boy Advance, the PSP. They all had their own separate releases that all apparently were important to the plot. And it was just kind of like, I don't really feel like following this.
Second.
And the worst part about this is, I don't know if you remember, and at the end of Kingdom Hearts, there's a cliffhanger, and it's one of the best cliffhangers in video gaming.
And if you wanted to know what happened, you had to play the Game Boy Advanced.
Yeah. Because, I don't know if you've heard this story, but in Kingdom Hearts 1, Disney basically turned to the guys and said, hey, you can use Mickey Mouse for one scene.
I did not hear this story.
Yes, they told him, you can use Mickey Mouse for one scene and one scene only.
So they
decided to make it the best cliffhanger scene at the end.
And not just any cliffhanger. You have to do the 100% completion to get the cliffhanger. I know that.
So you get to the very end, and there's Mickey with the key, and you're just like, what? Kingdom Hearts 1 was really good. It had a great story, apart from, who was the main villain again? Syndrome.
Well, that's actually what I was going to go into next.
Yeah.
Because I really enjoyed Kingdom Hearts, but there were a couple things that bothered me about it. One, Nomura. God bless him, I fucking hate his character designs.
I figured you were going to get into this.
God bless him, but fuck, his character designs are stupid.
More belts.
More zippers. I need to fuck Lightning some more. Lightning is literally his waifu.
Yeah, it's... He you know what? I don't mind them as an art style. You're fine to say, I don't like it. But it's definitely an art style. I don't mind looking at it as just an art style. It doesn't work in the real world. You cannot wear that many belts. You cannot wear clothes made out of just belts. You made a character like that. That was what, Final Fantasy X? The mage? I forget her name.
Well, the 10... 10-2, or was that?
I don't. It was one of the ones with Titus. They had the mage character that wore a dress made of belts.
I don't remember. Was she the one who had the giant boobs, or?
I believe she had the giant boobs.
Okay. Well, that's not saying much as a Final Fantasy game, but anyway.
But yes, he is a fan of all the belts and the zippers and the doodads. And
I actually had a friend of mine explain that. Final Fantasy is always a post-apocalyptic game. So that belts and stuff like that is a reminder of better times. So when they're wearing all these belts, they're reminding themselves constantly that things have been better and they'll get better again. Of course, my friend is also a little bit insane, but...
Yeah, I was about to say, that sounds like some crazy fan fiction. But yeah.
Okay, the other thing I really hated about Kingdom Hearts, Kingdom Hearts as it got on was that, okay, you have Disney.
Yes.
You have Final Fantasy.
Yes.
Why the fuck are you making OC villains? Why the fuck are you making original villains? I don't want fucking original villains.
Yeah, to be fair, in the first game, everyone except for the final boss was a non-original villain. You had, you would go through and fight
Maleficent.
Whatever stage it was, and typically the villain would be from that stage, the Queen of Hearts, Maleficent.
And Chernobyl should have been the last bosses.
Yeah, and that's definitely why,
having an original character, having a original main character, that's just common sense.
Well, they could have definitely done it better, because it definitely felt like, oh, by the way, at the 11th hour, there's this other guy, and he did everything. And a lot of Final Fantasies kind of suffer this. A lot of JRPGs in general kind of suffer from this. Where you have, one villain who's trying to take over the world, and then at the 11th hour, oh, by the way, kill God. And in this case, it's kill...
whatever.
Because it definitely feels like this final boss shows up. He had, maybe a couple notes where they said, oh, yeah, by the way, this was the guy.
Well, to be fair, they had if to get the 100% completion, you had to collect all the guy's notes.
Yeah.
So they had been kind of dropping hints that, hey, maybe this guy, not so...
Well, there's a difference between dropping hints and saying, hey, there's this guy, and maybe having him an optional boss, or having a final boss that comes out of left field.
I like that about Persona, though.
Well, Persona 4 and Persona 3 actually did it fair because everything leads up to that point. So they don't...
Oh, man,
the reveal is actually matters because it's by the way, I fill the void that you were trying to... Persona 4, the whole game's, who's the culprit? Who's the culprit? And then finally, I'm the culprit, bitch!
Remember me? You saw me. I had a portrait.
I was in the game the whole time. You didn't know. You didn't know.
They cheated there. They didn't give him a portrait.
Oh.
Fuck you. Anyway, but, and what was the third? Well, okay. But the Organization 13 is just...
Yeah, and once it gets to Kingdom Hearts 2, it's by the way, all of our original characters have separate personality, original character copies who are clones of other original characters.
Who are named...
This has nothing to do with Disney and Square Enix anymore.
Oh, by the way, they're also named after Xbox Live online gamer tags.
It's just so dumb.
How do you even pronounce that? Exhibit?
I don't even try.
Exhibit. That's what his name is now. Exhibit.
Yeah, I just kind of saw Kingdom Hearts 2 and saw all the things, and I was like, you know what? This isn't a cool romp through the Disney world, beating up Disney villains. This is now a romp through a shitty version of some guy's desire to make a Final Fantasy.
Yeah, and here's the problem, though. You have Final Fantasy villains. Fucking use them!
Yeah, that's another thing. The Square Enix references are very... far and few between.
Fucking have us fight Doom Train!
Because, there was never a Final Fantasy VIII world, or never, let's go visit...
Let's visit the opera!
Cloud's house, or whatever.
Let's go to the opera scene!
Yeah.
And fight Maleficent at the opera house. That would have been fucking awesome!
They definitely could have kept it within the worlds they were trying to cross over without making all this crap.
And now that Disney owns Star Wars... and Marvel, holy shit, Kingdom Hearts 5 is gonna be amazing. Okay, picture this, if you will. Kefka and Anakin bitching about sand.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of room for potential here. Unfortunately, when you look at a track record and you see failed potential, I don't have as strong hopes as I should.
Fucking Darth Vader versus Maleficent versus, Kefka versus,
I want to team up with Yoda to beat up fucking, Disneyland.
Team up with Yoda and and Aladdin team up to defeat the Skrulls. The
like,
secret
I'll never
invasion
see
of Skrulls.
Goofy accidentally learn the Force. Like, they could do some great things.
Yuffie learning the Force from
Donald Duck in a
Captain
spider
America.
outfit. Like, they could do some great things. They never will.
Captain America teaching Yuffie the Force. That would be so good.
They could have done good things. Instead, we're going to have a whole bunch of shitty stories about nobodies and Sora, and it's not going to be good.
It's not.
It could have been good.
Well, that's depressing. Let me check the news.
You know what? At least Final Fantasy 15 looks like it's going to be good. So, you know what? Something out of their studios.
No, I don't even pretend that it's gonna.
I am actually very hyped for Final Fantasy 15.
Don't get hyped for Final Fantasy 15.
I am hyped for Final Fantasy 15.
Don't get hyped for Final Fantasy 15.
It's got 4 main characters who are all bros. You're gonna have a giant bro off in cars going around beating up things.
Oh, I do admit that car meme was kind of funny, even though they pushed it.
Yeah. Either way, like, it still looks like it could be a really good game. From what I've seen, it looks fun. It looks engaging.
There was something else I wanted.
It looks pretty as hell too.
They all look pretty as hell. That's the problem. Unless they sell,
like, that's one thing Final Fantasy games can always do right. God damn, are they always pretty as hell?
But if they don't sell 1 million billion copies, they're all going to be profit losses.
Look, no matter what, it'll never be as bad as Hallway Simulator because it's got no hallways, open world. What?
I mean,
it's gonna be good.
Even some of the game. Okay, I don't like Lightning Returns as much as I hate it as much as the next guy.
I did not play Lightning Returns. I played 13 and 13-2.
Now, Lightning Returns actually does have an open world system. It has actually something kind of interesting. It was kind of Majora Mask-ish, in which you have to help these people. You have, 3 days to save as many souls as possible. And the more side quests you do, the more quests you do, and you can do them in any order, the more time you get.
Alright.
So that was actually kind of an interesting mechanic. Kind of something to make you do.
All I know about...
But it was fucking Lightning.
Yeah, all I know about Lightning Returns is that she had 1 billion costumes. That was pretty much it.
Okay, fun fact for you. Something I didn't actually realize. When she slides down poles, she does a stripper spin as she slides down the pole.
Yes. If you're gonna do something terrible, at least do terrible things in style. For that, I forgive them.
Well, I mean, if
Make
that was
Final Fantasy 15 good, please.
I mean, if that stripper pole slide was in Bayonetta, I could see it, because there's a woman there.
It probably is in Bayonetta.
Actually, you know what?
It's probably not even stripper pole. It's just every enemy. You could just be like, oh, yeah.
Well, because Bayonetta she's complete cheesecake. But she justifies her cheesecake, kinda, by completely owning it. You get what I'm saying?
She's a girl, old Dante, and that's great.
She owns it. She owns her sexuality. She's completely cheesecake, but she owns it. It's not a very good justification, but it's a justification.
Yeah, I will dig it. I love cheesy when it's done right, when it's done the same reason we like pizza. It's bad for you, but it's so good.
Oh, I forgot something I did over the holidays, actually. I just remembered.
Please.
I saw the last Hobbit movie.
Ah, yes. I also saw the last of the Hobbit movies. I was very disappointed at how quickly they killed Smaug.
I love that, actually. I hate Bendy Straw Cabbage Head.
What?
Benedict Cumberbatch?
Oh, yes.
I hate Bendy Straw Cabbage Head.
Alright. That's fair.
So, him dying before the title of the movie is even on the screen, I fucking loved it.
Yeah, well, I definitely knew that they had a lot of other stuff to get to. They spent the whole second movie building up the dragon, and then he gets 10 seconds and he's dead. I was like, oh.
No, that's exactly how he dies in the book.
Well, too. Yeah, that's exactly how he dies in the book. So it definitely was one of the things isn't he just about to die there? And then to see it was kind of disappointing. Whereas...
No, you know what was funny about that movie, though?
What?
When the sun... Okay, spoilers for The Hobbit.
Yes.
They'll give you 5 seconds.
The dragon dies, by the way.
I'll give you 5 seconds to get out of the room. 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so the sun is on the tower, right?
Yes.
I laughed my ass off when the sun was holding the bow. It's like, okay, now hold very still, son.
Look into my eyes. And I just see, like, the string slapping him in the face.
Yeah, really.
That's all I could think about during that scene.
That was hysterical. That was the worst. Okay, but I also laughed my ass off, okay, because I went...
But to be fair, if you're killing a dragon, a string to the face is the least of your problems.
It still was goofy as hell.
Yeah.
But the other thing that I really loved... Okay, so I went to the movie with... My boyfriend brought... My boyfriend... Whoa.
Whoa now! Secrets out!
I'm actually heterosexual.
This is why he likes the BioWares, guys.
I am heterosexual. My brother's girlfriend came to the movie with us.
Alright.
She had never read The Hobbit.
Alright.
So Feely and Keely died. You know this. You've read the book.
Yes, I read them a long time ago.
I read the book and I saw them in the first movie and I saw they were the prettiest.
Yes.
So yeah, Feely, Keely, and Thorin all die. So it's like, oh, they're dead. But my brother's girlfriend, she didn't know that. So she's watching the pretty dwarves. And I actually spoil it for her in the middle of the movie. It's like, I hope you're not too attached to them. Why? What happens? Well...
Just keep watching.
And I actually told her, he dies. And he dies. The pretty ones? Yes, the pretty ones.
That's terrible.
I wish they had killed that girl elf. I was waiting for her to die. I cheered. I got dirty looks in the theater when she was starting to get the shit beat out of her because it's like, yes, she's dying.
To be fair, anytime you're watching a movie like, yes, the girl is getting beat up, probably not a good time to be cheering.
I don't care. I hated that character.
With your sentiments. I did not like the OC Bade for movie. I did not like Legolas being there.
Well, to be fair, Legolas had every right to be there. You cannot deny he did not have every right to be there because it was his father who was the Elf King.
Yes, I could definitely see him being there. I definitely don't see him playing the role he did to the degree he did. Like, I could have definitely seen him, like, being down with the soldiers and fighting in the war area, not so much
being awesome.
Fighting one of the main generals in the story and being as super important and having half the screen time being to him. Like, that shouldn't have happened.
Well, the other thing is, I can't be sure if that girl elf is an OC because she might not be. She honestly might not be, given how much stuff Tolkien wrote.
Yeah, well, I say OC in the sense that the role she played was not the role that was written in The Hobbit. Yeah. Yes.
And another thing that kind of made me go, huh? Okay, so last scene. Legolas is talking to his dad. And his dad's like, there's this one person you should follow. They call him Strider.
Yeah, I was like,
and this was my reaction. It's like, this is 50 years before Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's assume Strider is, let's say, 30. You still got 20 years to wait. So is he a fetus doing all this awesome stuff?
Soon there will be a boy that will be born. Check him out, Legolas.
But then you get into the follow the star to Bethlehem. Wait, that's still too early.
It was an awkward scene. I saw it. I cringed a little bit. Another thing I was really disappointed. I wish the battle scene at the end, which is what, when they killed Smaug off right away, I thought they were going to really build up to a nice battle scene. And to be fair, they did a pretty good job with it.
Yeah.
But it was no Helm's Deep.
Well, of course it wasn't.
Like, if you're setting the whole movie, if you're killing off Benedict Cumberbatch as a dragon.
Bendy Straw Cabbage Head.
Say what you will about him. He's a pretty high-profile actor. And he did a pretty good dragon. If you're just going to kill off Smaug that fast and move on, you better have a bitching-ass fight scene for me. And instead we got Legolas jumping off falling rocks.
No, but you see, I think you set your expectations a bit high there because Okay, what other fantasy battle in a movie can compare to Helm's Deep? I'll give you a little bit to think about that.
I definitely am putting the standards pretty high on Helm's Deep because, god damn it, Helm's Deep, you are the best scene in that entire movie franchise.
Okay, but, let's see, what else about that movie?
But yeah, they definitely could have done it better. I would have liked a lot more scenes of the orcs and the elves and the dwarves all going at it.
Actually, fun fact for you. Okay, the actor who played the dwarf king riding on the pig.
Yes.
That was actually the voice actor of the guy who played Meredith's father from that Brave Pixar movie.
Yes.
That was him.
Yes, I heard the voice through.
I didn't actually pick that up.
He did a very good job. I definitely liked that character when he was like, yes, you are my favorite dwarf.
But
one thing I will say about the movie, though, it was very hard to not see Gandalf as Magneto in this one. He had a lot more scenes where he was less the happy wizard and more scenes where he was Bilbo Baggins, I've got my eye on you. Also kill the mutants. And it's very hard to shake the fact that he might be the villain when he really should have been the good guy.
Now, speaking of scenes that... Well... There is something that kind of... I know this is in the book. Something that also kind of bothered me was... Yet again, the Eagles are a Deus Ex Machina. I mean, I know why, and I've read the best justification of the Eagles ever.
Yes.
And why they don't do everything.
Well, it's clearly because Tolkien knew, even back there, America saves the day. I remember watching it in the theater, and as soon as the Eagles came in, my little sister who was with me just was like whispers to me on the ear, America, fuck yeah. I was like,
I'm actually...
You're right.
I'm holding my shoe right now, and I'm about to throw it at his head.
But that's the first thing we thought of. Oh my god. America solves the problem. It just makes sense. It just makes sense, guys.
Anyway, but it's just kind of annoying. And the other thing is, in the book, Bilbo's knocked out, like, within the first 5 minutes of the battle.
Yeah. I remember that, too. I was like, Bilbo, what are you still kicking for? Didn't you, like, not participate in this at all?
No, yeah, you were kind of...
Like, I remember, like, he was lined up, and then, like, he got hit and passed out. And
he got hit in the head with a rock.
When he woke up, 2 dwarves were dead, and the battle was over.
Yeah. Although, I will admit, I did like the way they had Thorin being corrupted by the,
Yeah, they did some really great scenes with Thorin and the gold, and especially, like, when he's walking on the floor of gold.
Yeah.
That was a really nice scene. I like that.
Yeah, that was good. That was kind of harkening back to the old original movies ring corruption thing.
Yeah.
And I really liked the last scene where it was just basically that scene from the Fellowship being played again.
Yes.
I really liked that.
Well, you remember the first Hobbit, they started with that scene
as
well. But, yeah, it was an okay movie. I wish they spent more time letting us watch dwarves and elves fight orcs.
I actually wish they gave us less time of that, because it really should have been just 2 movies.
Well, my problem was, I wish they gave less time to Legolas.
Legolam.
Like, being the super awesome, more time to just some really generic elves and generic orcs, like, going at it, because you didn't really see much going on in the main battle that mattered.
Well, that's true,
but... They really just kind of, like, showed what was happening up on this little hill here.
Well, I actually kind of like that, because that kept the feeling in the book that Bilbo has no fucking idea what's going on.
Yeah. Because, like, they easily could have just had Bilbo actually pass out, and then when he wakes up, it's like, oh yeah, some guys died. The end.
They could have easily done that.
And then, with Peter Jackson, though, I don't think he could have done it, but someone else could have done it. Because Peter Jackson has the problem where he needs at least 12 minutes to say one thing.
Well, to be fair, that does actually fit with some book adaptations.
It definitely does, I think, help for this series, because having the length of some of these things definitely does make it feel like it's an epic, which these books were. They were epics.
Yeah.
And they still hold up. Longer the story, read the books.
Yeah. Actually, don't read the books. Fuck the books. Tolkien needed a fucking editor. Fuck Tom Bombadil.
Everyone should read The Silmarillion. It's the best book ever.
Oh my god. What are you doing?
I would not wish The Silmarillion on my enemies. That's such a hard read.
I know why he did it, because he was writing like an Old English epic, but good god.
It does not hold up. I don't think it held up when it was written.
It holds up as an Old English epic, as something that you would want to read. Do you want to read the original Beowulf? No?
I read the original Beowulf. That was actually pretty good.
Well, like the way it was originally told with the poets and the bard.
Yeah, that's the way I read it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So, read the Silmarillion.
Yeah, I read it it had like the Old English and the translations, and like I had a really good time actually. Because a lot of the Old English you could actually kind of see through and catch what they were saying, and it was a good experience.
But anyway, point is, he was writing it like that. Actually, okay, this is actually going to be kind of a weird trivia. We're almost out of time, and there's one other thing I'd like to talk about, but trivia first.
Go ahead.
Okay, so Tolkien was a Catholic, right? You know that.
Yes.
Most people know that.
He was good friends with C.S. Lewis and all that good stuff.
All right, so thing is, the Lord of the Rings takes place here, on Earth.
Yes. So, supposedly, like, we're in the Fifth Age or something like that?
Fifth Age is what it was. But, okay, so he doesn't go into where humans come from, because that's already in another book.
The Bible.
Yeah. And if you think about it like that, it's actually kind of depressing, because his whole thing was that he discovered the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit as kind of like histories, as like these old ancient histories.
Yeah.
So what that means is that, okay, this is my logic, follow my train of thought. Okay, so our ancestors in Tolkien world are not Gondor or Rohan or any of those guys. We're the descendants of the men of the East who sided with Sauron.
Yeah.
We came back, destroyed Gondor and Rohan so completely...
I remember hearing about this, yes.
That they don't even exist anymore. So think about that. Put that in your crack pipe.
Yes, I remember reading it, so I was like, really? That sounds not fun.
So yeah, we're the descendants of the bad guys.
Yeah.
Okay, the one other thing I wanted to get into was that I love the Elf King. I unironically loved him.
I actually agreed with him, sort of in a long way, because if I had a group of immortal people who could live forever, one of them dying is kind of a big deal.
And
especially when
I saw
read the trivia, it's very hard for them to make babies.
One of the things I loved, I saw this on Tumblr. Oh yeah, by the way, I have a Tumblr. Good luck finding it. I saw this on Tumblr, and it was perfect. It was a 2-person cross. It was a character plus character equals character thing.
Yes, I've seen those.
Okay, so it was the Goblin King from the Labyrinth.
Alright.
Plus the Pie Maker from Pushing Daisies.
Alright.
Equals the Elf King. And it works. It's so beautiful. No, it wasn't the Pie Maker. That was another one. The one I'm thinking about, it was Cusco from The Emperor's New Groove.
Cusco?
Plus the Goblin King from the Labyrinth equals the Elf King.
He needs to be a bit more groovy for that one to work.
Well, he is groovy, but he's very subtle about it. He does the dramatic
subtly
capes.
Groovy.
Yes, he does the dramatic capes, and he has that kind of pouty little...
When is Costco going to show up in Kingdom Hearts?
Oh, that would be amazing.
I just want a whole section that's nothing but... It would be like an awkward rhythm game.
You mean like the one they had in
like
Kingdom Hearts 2? In Kingdom Hearts 2, they had a rhythm game in Atlantica, in the Little Mermaid.
Yeah, I remember that one.
Why couldn't that have been Emperor's New Groove?
Yeah, well, the problem in Kingdom Hearts 2 is it was the water level, and we all know about water levels.
They're almost as fun as sewer levels or ice levels.
Yes, but you could totally have, like, this super cheesy, like, the final boss is just, you gotta throw off this groove. It would be the best.
No, it just a complete...
Like, no, you would have, it was...
Yzma.
Yzma and Krunk.
Yeah.
Like, them be the villains, and they actually foil their own plans, and you just kind of walk around dancing.
The whole level...
Be the best.
The whole level is just completely... You want a JRPG? Too bad! Rhythm game time!
Like,
go!
You would just go around with this llama who complains, and you dance, and you beat things up, and then at the end you find out, oh, by the way, Esmond and Croc, they foiled themselves.
Yeah, they
It would be the best.
Yeah, it would be the best. And you see them in the background when you're doing the dancing, and when you're doing it well, you're doing the poses.
Like all you would do is, like, dance, and every now and then, like, Esmeralda would come out with a potion, and she'd drop it on herself. It would be...
Yeah, Esmeralda? What?
What is it? Yzma.
But yes, that would be amazing and so much fun.
But yes, so
we're just about done. There is one more thing I actually wanted to say.
One more thing. For the one more time.
Yeah, for the one more time. We'll call this the Columbo section. The one more thing. I was bored the other day, so I put on an episode of Stardust Crusaders.
Yes.
Of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
Oh, Joe! I love JoJo.
I love it too.
Everyone loves JoJo.
Not everybody.
You guys don't even realize it yet, but you love JoJo.
Yes, but you love JoJo. I put on the Strength episode. Title don't lie. It was about a guy named JoJo. He had an adventure.
He does have these...
And it was
bizarre adventures.
Yes, it was. Because there's nothing quite like a pedophile monkey.
Yeah, that was... I remember that episode. It was...
There is nothing quite like a pedophile monkey.
It was a good episode, and it was a bad episode. But that's just how JoJo is.
But I really...
Especially from, like, Stardust Crusaders on, when they get away from trying to be, like, the old, like, big muscly guys.
Well, they're still big muscly guys.
Yeah, well... No. In the new one, they are very fashionable, skinny guys.
Very fashionable.
Yes.
You know what the leading cause of experimentation is?
JoJo?
Yes! Anyway.
But, like, it's one of those things where you love it. Like, it's one of those things...
Speaking of loving it, I love how he beat it, though, in the end. Because it was so clever. Okay, the guy controls the entire boat.
Yeah, he is the boat.
What do? Pop the button off, shoot it at his head, because his stand is very specific. It can punch things really fast.
Yes.
That's it. It can punch things super fast.
Except, like, later when it's...
Well, that's the end boss, and you always get new powers when you fight the end boss. But for most of the series, he punches things and he goes really fast.
And he poses. It's very important to pose.
So... So the whole thing is you have to be clever about how you punch things really fast. So he takes the button off and he flings it at the monkey's head really fast, and then the monkey gets killed because it's a pedophile monkey.
Yes.
I can't emphasize that.
And then the boat disappears, and it's a good...
I cannot emphasize that fact enough.
Look, guys. If you haven't, go watch...
On Crunchyroll.
Watch JoJo... by whatever means possible. Honestly, though, I recommend, for the first season, if you can find them, GG subs. They are not at all accurate, but they're very period-specific.
And very funny. How many breads have you eaten in your life, Stephen?
I think they actually kept that for the official translation.
They did actually keep that,
yes.
And I was so happy.
But yeah, so the GG subs has a lot more old-timey talk and a lot more, like... weird alliterations and it makes the show like 10 times better, and it's already fantastic.
It's 10 times more terrible.
It's a train ride of the best sorts
that ends in a train wreck,
but it's a pretty good train wreck. It's JoJo.
Yeah.
It keeps going, and then after that you'll be hooked. You'll read the manga.
Good luck. We'll see you in like 10 years.
I don't know how good that is. You just kind of want to get through it. It's good. All
right, well,
but yeah, so...
we're about done.
Yeah, so I guess we'll do our final little segment here.
Are you done with the Hyrule Warriors review?
I am actually very close.
So the sun won't burn out by the time you get done with it.
So the sun won't burn out. Yeah, my script is actually up on the screen right now.
I haven't been looking at that.
Yeah, it's the open office there because I can't have regular office because that costs too much money. I think I have Office, but it's on my laptop, not on my PC, and I can't really be swapping it. Long story. But yeah, so it's coming. I've just been messing around with the language, trying to say the message I want to say. It's gonna get done very soon because I've been playing through Bayo, and I'm wanting to get to that one, so gotta finish one to get to the other, right?
Yes, sir.
But yeah, so I'll be working on that. No, we said we were gonna talk about last week, but we didn't talk about it all.
What?
Persona 4.
Oh yeah, and Persona. Persona Q.
Yes, Persona Q.
Well, we'll talk about that.
Yeah, so. Which is fine because I'm not finished with the game yet. I'd like to be done and have that scope.
Yeah,
it's a good game though. I'll say that much.
Mm-hmm. It's a wonderful game.
Yes. So we'll talk more about Persona Q next time, hopefully, unless we lied for a second time. We do that
a lot.
I promise I'm working on Hyrule Warriors, guys.
So live from Shadow Moses Island.
To that one guy in Indonesia. Where did we say he was from?
Siberia.
Siberia. So
that one
live
guy
live to Liquid in Siberia.
Do you think love can bloom on the battlefield?
Not if you're dead.